Brazil has a new president. Right after assuming power, President Itamar Franco asked God to help him to ensure a humble and transparent government. And he stated there's not going to be any corruption. The notification to President Collor communicating that he was away from power was delivered a little after 10 a.m. in the morning by the Senate. This man woke up with a unique task, turning the page of history with the hand of democracy. He needed to pinpoint the facts, and this is what he did. He established the steps of the ceremony with then Vice President Itamar Franco. Okay, I'll move around the internal paths of the palace, and I'll go to your office. He then went to a civil commitment, followed by the faithful remnants of the government and escorted by legality. Besides the yes from 441 deputies and the endorsement by the legislative and judiciary spheres, he had 3 pages summarizing the trajectory of the former president, backed up by half a ton of evidence. As in a true procession, the representatives of the Federal Senate got to the Planalto Palace, bringing the notification of the withdrawal of President Collor for at least 180 days. Curious journalists and parliamentarians marched on the fulfillment of duty, armed with the law. Still in their positions, the few that assumed the destiny of entering history aside, the only president in history prevented from governing by the Constitution. The delivery of the notification of withdrawal for President Collor and the act itself, exactly at 10:08 a.m., sealed by the endorsement of who is living and the shaking of hands of the one who is still in power. What I told the President of the Republic as he signed is that I expected that act could be a contribution from my generation to the improvement of democracy in Brazil. And what did you hear from him? Certainly. For 7 minutes, Senator Dirceu Carneiro symbolically carried the presidency of the Republic. The mission ends when he invites President Itamar Franco as the new president. We're asking God to give us in this moment, in the exercise of the presidency of the Republic, goodness, intelligence, and humbleness. It is important to point out this democratic normality. And again, I say, may God help us give the country a transparent government. The ethical mapping that was performed by the CPI will not apply to us. Because my life and the life of those who will be with me are clean lives, will not be part of corruption. Hello, this is Eric. Today is June the 22nd, 2023. And in this video, we will be covering the Itamar Franco government. Well, this is him. And if you watched our previous class, you will remember that President Fernando Collor was impeached after corruption was evidenced in his government, right? So what you watched now in the beginning of this video is basically the way that things took place for President Fernando Collor to transfer the power to President Itamar Franco, who was his vice president. Okay? Well, the Itamar Franco government starts with a plebiscite in 1993. The previous plebiscite that took place in the country was held in 1963 during the João Goulart government, right? And once again, the people had the possibility of choosing presidentialism or parliamentarism, right? Republic or monarchy. And the people, as I said, once again, chose the presidential republic, right? So, Itamar Franco really started, as you could see in the video, started his government promising that that would be a clean government, no more corruption, right? And but he became very famous due to the Real Plan, which ended up being a solution to the inflation issue that had been destroying the country for a long time before him, right? And the Real Plan was actually a long process. You know, many people, I particularly remember the day when Itamar Franco's Minister of Finance and future President Fernando Henrique Cardoso announced on television that the Real Plan would be established in the country. And I remember that represented the end of inflation. That was like a dream come true in the country, right? But the thing is that before the Real Plan was actually established, we had a long process. You probably remember that in our previous class we mentioned the fact that Fernando Collor, when he was still the president, he exchanged the cruzado to Cruzeiro Real, right? And Cruzeiro Real was a failure. So what we had during the Itamar Franco government was a transition from Cruzeiro Real to Real, right? And in this transition, we had the so-called URV. I clearly remember that. You know, that was like a hallmark, a milestone at the time. And it was really the transition to the successful Real Plan, which is the establishment of the new currency in Brazil, Real. So this video is going to tell you in more detail how it was performed. Okay, let's watch it.
E foi aí que entrou o truque de mestre do Plano Real, porque foi criada uma moeda que não existia, a Unidade Real de Valor, o RV, somente para converter esse efeito psicológico nas pessoas e retomar a confiança no valor do dinheiro.
Incrível, né? A URV era meio difícil de explicar na época, mas funcionava da seguinte forma. A URV era uma moeda de referência, atrelada à cotação do dólar comercial do dia anterior. Mas o mais importante aqui é que a URV em si não mudava de valor. Só mudava o quanto ela valia em relação aos cruzeiros, ou seja, quantos cruzeiros compravam uma URV. A paridade entre a URV e o Cruzeiro Real era atualizada todos os dias por uma tabela divulgada pelo Banco Central. Vou explicar. Imagina que você vai no mercado para comprar uma caixa de ovos, ela custa 1 URV. Naquele dia, a cotação da URV daria para mais ou menos 5 cruzeiros, vamos supor. Aí na semana seguinte, você volta no mercado para comprar ovo e a mesma caixa continua com o preço de 1 URV. Mas agora aquilo ali dava 10 cruzeiros. Ou seja, as pessoas ainda usariam os cruzeiros para pagar as coisas, mas tudo estaria precificado em URV dessa forma. As pessoas tinham a impressão ali então que o preço na URV não alterava, apesar de alterar nos cruzeiros.
E essa criação da RV não foi a única coisa que estabilizou a economia, lógico, mas ela foi muito importante para controlar o efeito psicológico da inflação.
Great. Well, so you have just watched the video, and now you know about the URV concept and how it was implemented in the country. And then in 1994, we had the official establishment of Brazil's new currency, Real. And Real, basically, there is this struggle between Fernando Henrique Cardoso and Itamar Franco, because some people claim that the actual creator of the Real currency was not Fernando Henrique Cardoso, but Itamar Franco. So this is like a struggle. This is like an endless struggle, to be honest. You know, I hear both sides constantly, and I don't really have a conclusion in this sense. But whoever created it, the point is that the Real Plan was a turning point in the history of the country. And we have here the fact that the reason for the success of the real plan is the parity, right? Real was now equalized to the dollar currency, right? So obviously there is the good side of that and there's the bad side. The good side is that it really resulted in stability, financial and economic stability in the country. On the other hand, we did not have enough money to conclude, this equalization, this parity. So we had to resort to loans, yes. So our international debt increased, and in order to maintain the stability, we also had to increase the interest rate in the country. So that was a time of recession. For some time, we Brazilians experienced recession because of the high interest rates in the country, right? But with the de-indexation of the economy, at least we achieved the so awaited stability, right? Well, because of that, and also, we had at this time something that is really funny at the time is that President Itamar, known for the stability of the Real Plan, he also became famous for his appreciation for traditional things. So we had here the Bentley, the Brazilian Bentley in Brazil, and that car was not being even manufactured anymore. But he insisted, he kept conversations with Volkswagen of Brazil, and they accepted to manufacture for some time, this new Bentley model that was known as the Itamar model, right? And this is a really expensive car, by the way. There are very few units, of the Itamar Bentley in Brazil, and the few that still exists are very expensive for obvious reasons. So the thing is that this was a calm government, and at the end we had a constitutional revision, right? The presidential term was reduced to 4 years. And also we had increased power granted to the Congress to supervise the executive power, due to what had happened to President Collor. And by the end of 1994, we had the presidential elections. So Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance at the Itamar Franco government, Fernando Henrique Cardoso, he ended up winning the elections against Lula, who once again was defeated. And much of this victory can be applied to the great success of the Real Plan, right? He won in the first round, so he didn't need much effort to beat Lula in the election. Okay, so in our next class, we're going to be talking about the Fernando Henrique Cardoso government. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in our next video.